Starmer spent months talking about standing shoulder to shoulder with Ukraine, said there would be no compromise, no weakness, no backing down against Russia, and then Parliament discovered the loophole: temporary licenses, Russian oil still flowing, British energy getting crushed while Labour scrambled to explain why dirty Russian oil was suddenly acceptable. Then the opposition leaned forward and dropped the line that detonated the entire chamber. "You are choosing to buy dirty Russian oil." Watch Starmer completely lose control.
On these issues since the beginning of the conflict. What we announced yesterday was a strong new package of new sanctions, going well beyond existing sanctions. So it's a new package. This includes new bans on maritime services on LNG and new bans on refined oil products from Russia. We also issued 2 targeted short-term licenses to ease the new sanctions in and to protect UK consumers. Mr. Speaker, that is standard practice. This government has phased in sanctions in this way before, and the last government used exactly the same technique when they introduced sanctions. And when they did so, Mr. Speaker, we supported them because we could see the sanctions were the right thing to do to bear down on Russia. So these are new sanctions being phased in. This is not a question of lifting existing sanctions in any way whatsoever, and we will continue to work with our allies on further sanction packages.
Cheers from the MPs who are trying to get rid of him, could I just say. Mr. Speaker, he doesn't know what he is talking about. This level of processology is not going to get him out of these difficult answers. This morning, Ukraine's sanction chief disagrees with what the Prime Minister's approach is. That's what Ukraine is saying. In March, when the United States eased sanctions on Russia, the Prime Minister said all partners should maintain pressure on Russia and its war chest. The Prime Minister said our sanctions remain, and there is no question about that. What's changed?
I really think on an issue of this importance, which is about further sanctions on Russia in relation to Ukraine, it is really important that the position is not misrepresented.
Exactly.
This is a new package of sanctions.
Mr. Speaker, I've heard this tone before. This is the same tone he used during the Mandelson scandal, and they were all cheering, and then it turned out that he was wrong. He says that other countries are doing this. The EU is not doing this. Let me make it clear. I know it hurts him to hear it. He is now choosing to buy dirty Russian oil. That money will be used to fund the killing of Ukrainian soldiers. Isn't he ashamed?
Misunderstand and misrepresent what is happening. This is a very serious issue where we're working with others. These are new bans, they're new sanctions, they're new bans on maritime services on LNG as of yesterday. They're new bans on refined oil products from Russia as of yesterday. They are being phased in the same way that previous sanctions regimes have been phased in, exactly in the way the last government did and we have done. Other countries do exactly the same. The EU has its own way of doing it. Australia and Canada have their own way of doing it. And to play party politics on Ukraine, where we have stood firm, and the only people that benefit when we play party politics in here on Russia and Ukraine is Putin.
That pompous tone does not cover for the fact that he has got his policy all wrong. I have asked him about oil and gas again and again and again. The last time he told me that it was the Energy Secretary's job and it had nothing to do with him. That's what's destroying this country. It's not playing politics. It's speaking up for the people who are out there. The fact is, more people are buying Russian oil because British oil isn't being drilled. He's sanctioning British oil, but not Russian oil. And he should be ashamed, Mr. Speaker. He should be ashamed. And just listen to him, and I wonder if he is okay. He is so deep in the bunker, Mr. Speaker. He's importing sanctioned Russian oil. He's nationalizing steel. He's imposing price controls in the supermarket. It's like the Soviets won. This country needs a government that has got its act together, Mr. Speaker.
Starmer just got absolutely cornered in Parliament after the opposition accused his government of quietly backing away from sanctions on Russian oil while pretending to stand with Ukraine. And the moment the phrase "dirty Russian oil" was dropped inside the chamber, the entire debate completely exploded. The Prime Minister tried to defend himself by claiming these were new sanctions and that temporary licenses were simply part of a normal transition process. But the more he talked, the worse it got, because the opposition immediately pulled out Starmer's own past statements where he said there should be no question about maintaining pressure on Russia and its war chest. And suddenly, the entire room realized the problem. Starmer was now trying to explain why Russian oil could still enter the system while British oil and gas projects were being strangled at home. That is the contradiction that completely destroyed his argument. And then came the moment that changed the entire exchange. The opposition openly accused Starmer of choosing to buy dirty Russian oil and said that money would help fund the killing of Ukrainian soldiers. That hit like a bomb inside Parliament. You could actually hear the panic in the chamber as Labour MPs tried to shout over the criticism while Starmer kept repeating the same talking points again and again. But here's the problem for Starmer. Every answer sounded scripted while the accusations kept getting more brutal. He was accused of sanctioning British energy while protecting Russian imports. He was accused of hiding behind technical language instead of giving a straight answer. And then the debate went completely nuclear when the opposition mocked his leadership, claimed his cabinet was already discussing replacements behind closed doors, and said, Labour's real problem is not just Starmer, it's the entire party itself. And honestly, the Prime Minister never truly recovered after that. Instead of directly shutting down the accusations, he pivoted into talking about NHS waiting lists, inflation numbers, and even Arsenal. That alone told you everything about how uncomfortable this debate became for him. Because when a leader starts escaping into unrelated talking points during a direct attack on Ukraine policy, people notice immediately. The opposition sensed blood in the water and kept hammering him over and over on the same issue. If Russian oil is supposedly unacceptable, then why create loopholes at all? And Starmer never delivered the clean knockout answer his own side desperately wanted. By the end of the exchange, this no longer looked like a normal policy disagreement. It looked like a government on the defensive, a prime minister under pressure, and a Labour Party suddenly being forced to explain why its Ukraine messaging no longer matches its energy policy. Drop a comment and tell me, was this a justified transition policy, or did Starmer just walk straight into one of the biggest political traps of his leadership so far?